Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. May I be guided from untruth to truth. May I travel towards light from darkness, and may my soul attain immortality or liberation. Namaskar. I am Moumita Ghosh, Odissi dancer, teacher and choreographer. Today I will be speaking about Odissi and its various aspects with a demonstration. The title of my talk is Odissi, Impressions and Inspirations. Is not targeted towards a single subject, but to bring about things that are related to Odissi on a larger way. With my experience of being a student, a teacher, and a performer. I can't help but mention about the current pandemic that has engulfed the whole world. Everyone's suffering, people are dying, and this is a moment of great crisis. Sparing a thought for all who are deeply affected, I pray to Lord Jagannath to lay his compassionate eyes on all of us and make this world disease-free, healthy, happy, and peaceful. A short excerpt from Jagannath Stuti. So that was Jagannath Stuti. So whenever we use the word ancient or tradition for a dance style, we are actually trying to trace out the date or period in history where this dance existed or started out, so that we know the roots and the factors that helped it to grow, to branch out, to spread out to various regions, to people, sustained, and the factors that helped it to evolve, and then found its relevance in the contemporary times, helped it to find its relevance in the contemporary times. So, like all other classical dance styles, Odissi too finds its mention in the Natya Shastra, the elaborative Sanskrit text about the performative art, believed to be written in between 200 BCE and 200 CE. Well, the regions of Odisha in the ancient times, it was Odra Desha, and it was connected to many other regions like Kalinga, Utkala, Magadha, and many other kingdoms. And there existed a particular dance style. So Natya Shastra says that whatever the dance style was prevalent at this time, it acknowledges it as one of the regional vistis or one of the regional varieties. And say this is the eastern southern style of this eastern India and believed to be known as the Odra Magadhi or the ancient precursor to present Odissi. Another important finding was on the basis of archaeological evidence. It's believed that Odissi is one of the ancient classical dance styles, and the Rani Gumfa caves of the Udaygiri hills near Bhubaneswar have these inscriptions and the relics, which has a dancing girl performing with an orchestra. So these are the very ancient caves of the 2nd century BC from the king, from the Jain king, and these rock-cut caves from the Jain dynasty gives the earliest representation of dance. And I was actually very lucky to have gone there and seen those things. It also has many other caves like the Hathi Gumfa and the caves from the Ratnagiri and Lalitagiri. They also have images, and even in the Udaygiri hills there are the rock-cut images of the animals, and there are the images of the wars and the women figures, but especially this one, the Rani Gumfa, where the image of this girl dancing has caught my attention, because having read so many times in my textbook, in my theory class, and imagining the picture, so when I went there, so many questions popped up in my mind that the dancers of that period who became the inspirations for the sculptors, what were their lives? What kind of lives they're leading? Were they the court dancers or were they commoners? What compositions they used to do, and what their performance was exclusively for the kings, or they were dancing for the public. So there's so many things that with those I connected the women of that time with me, because I thought, because of this earliest representation, I thought that these sources are the very roots which give an identity to me from this time. So if this girl from that era, or the dancers from that era, is holding one thread of continuity of tradition, I'm here in the 21st century, stretching it from here, and in between there have been, remarkable developments happened which gave Odissi its identity. So it's very important to see the roots, to know about the roots and think about them, explore them. So now Odisha had been home to various kingdoms and dynasties, and the history of Odisha between the 2nd century BC and the 9th century AD is an interesting amalgam of various schools of thought. The Buddhism, the Jainism, Shaktism, Tantric aspects, and prominently the Vaishnavism and the Shaivism all made its roots in Orissa, and they also came with a lot of intelligence, lot of prowess, lot of talent with their art in the aspect of music, dance, art, architecture. So under these dynasties, the temples were built for a great work of art and architecture. The sculptures and images of the dancing figures adorn the walls, the panels, the portals, the insets, and the ceilings of these temples. So there's another impression of mine on the occasion of Guruji's, Guru Kelucharan Mahapatra's birth anniversary. We were in Odissi, we were in Bhubaneswar as part of our Guru's troupe, Guru Mati Mudgal's troupe, and we were to give there a performance. So on a free day, she organized a trip for us to look around, because it's very important to know the culture of a place, of whom the dance form or any art form one is practicing or imbibing, because it only helps one to understand how it is, what factors. Because in the case of dance and our traditional dances, it's very important to know the surroundings, which continuously helping it to form, to evolve, and how the earlier gurus took these inspirations from the culture, from the daily life to put in the dance, and it bloomed to us the way it is being shown. So yes, so we were in a troupe in the tour, and there was this dancer scholar who was accompanying us, and to show these sculptures and temples of significance and iconographical importance. So I and all my friends were truly excited and astounded to see these beautiful sculptures decorating the temple portals, and the languorous maiden covering the gates and the doors of the temples. And I think mainly we visited the Shaivite temple, and something struck to my notice, that the sculptures, the very beautiful sculptures, are somewhere holding the positions in a way that we do not do. Like the darpana, in one case, we hold it like that, but when I saw the sculpture, particular sculpture, the darpana was held very near to the waist. So almost this part was coinciding with this part. And I was very young. I said that if this all has been taken from the sculptures, why this is so close to his body and it's not, held like it's so beautiful when it's held like that. But even that sculpture was exquisite. And in another case, the Trastya Pada was placed too far from the back foot, which again popped question in my mind. We are so particular of keeping the Trastya Pada as, the front leg, cutting the back leg almost in the middle, and why so far. And in another case, the languorous maiden, or one of the women figure showing the three bhangi, was almost deviated towards the very end of the second side, where there is no center. She almost lost the center, and she was too much to this side. So I was like, this is wrong. What is wrong and what is right? To my conclusion, I made this conclusion to my understanding that one need not really replicate what is there in one medium and to completely transfer it to another medium. That is a stone work, and this is a working body. Of course, the exquisiteness of the sculpture, or the intelligence and artistry of the sculptor, has put so much life in the sculpture and art, of course, that one is really compelled to take all the beautiful elements from it and translate it into the working body of a dancer. But this doesn't mean that one has to totally convert that thinking into another medium, because that was a stone art, and it has a different aesthetic appeal, and this is a working body of a dancer, so it has a different aesthetic appeal. So I cannot really hold this like this so close and say it's a sculpturous movement. Of course, it's a sculpturous movement. When I saw Guruji's production of Konars in Delhi, I saw in some of the dances were holding it like that, because the sculptures were like that. But then in a dance, in Batu, for instance, when they hold the darpani, it is like that. Or maybe when Guruji later changed it and made it a little low, and it was low, but it was still a little distant from the body. So it came from a deep understanding that what looks nice, where and how. So it is very important to have a deeper study and constantly examination of certain things before really putting one thing here and one thing there. Also, in the practical way of learning dance and doing dance, because something is so attractive to you, to the eyes, and not knowing it completely, one just tries to copy everything that one sees of the other. But the body that one makes, that the work one depicts, is a work of several years of training, and maybe the other body is of a different foundation. So one must remember what are the pluses and the minuses and what are the base, and based on that one must constantly work on that. So this is one finding and one impression and inspiration. Then coming back again, we just talk about the temples, and so from 2nd century to 9th century there have been a lot of temples made in Odisha. And again, coming back to that story about that trip to Bhubaneswar where we saw these temples, I remember I saw this very beautiful motif of Shiva when he was in choker. It was a male deity. I remember that's a Shiva. And the choker was very, very deep-seated. It was not a normal choker. It was too much down and somewhere in between the mandala and the choker. And then I saw the beautiful Mukteshwara temple where every year the Mukteshwara festival held in Bhubaneswar, the Lingaraj temple of the Shaivite school of thought, and then the Bharateshwara temple was there, the exquisitely carved Raja Rani temple, and yes, all these very beautiful temples I got to see. One temple just remains in my memory for a long time and will always be, is the temple of the Tantric tradition, and it was the temple at the Hirapur, the Chausat Yogini temple. And what was so striking about the temple was the temple had no roof, or it was circumscribed in the floor, and on each of the panels there was one yogini, the ascetic lady, and she was in a dancing gait with each of the yoginis was doing a different hairdo and different kind of a wardrobe, and this was with a different expression. So all this thing to catch in a sculpture, one can imagine how much expertise it needs to reach that level. So it was a terrific experience and so very inspiring. Now, after this 9th century, there was going to be something very special in Odisha that almost changed the face of Odisha and rest of India, how the rest of India looked at Odisha. So around 11th century or 12th century, there was the emergence of the Vaishnavite culture. The period saw the construction of the famous Jagannath temple, an architectural marvel with beautiful sculptural relics, and a special hall for dance, that's the Nata Mandira. Well, in Vaishnavite culture, one worships the Vishnu, the deity, or Krishna. So Jagannatha was the form of Krishna or Vishnu, and Jagannath is very special to Odisha, the dance culture, because it's the bhava of Jagannath is to integrate all other bhavas. So the Jagannath cult is when all the cults assimilate into this one cult, and that is Vaishnavism. So all the cults right from the tribal, the tantric, the Buddhism, Shaivism, Shaktism, and even the Islamic school of thought. All these were integrated into the Jagannath bhava. And yes, and Choda Ganga Deva, sorry, we lost connection there. So I was talking about the Maharis and the Devdasis, who Choda Ganga Dev was the ruler of the Ganga dynasty who built this great Jagannath temple, and he appointed the Devdasis there. And in Odisha, Devdasis are called the Maharis or the Mahanaris, the ones who are looked upon as very honorable women, and they are attached to the temple, especially as someone who has to serve the Lord. And in almost all important rituals, they were serving the Lord through singing and dancing. So it was a great contribution of this tradition that Odissi regained most of the elements of dance and music. And these women had a very different lifestyle, as if they were not allowed to mingle with the outside people. There was some social distancing, and there were teachers who were training them in dance and music. So they were trained artists. So this was about the Jagannath temple, and Jagannath temple is also very famous because of this the beautiful sculptures that are engraved in the walls of the temple. Also, the Jagannath bhava, how it influenced the other activities around Orissa. I think because of the Vaishnavism, the spread of the Vaishnavism cult and the Bhakti cult, which was not only in Orissa and Bengal, but it was sweeping the whole of the rest of India. The way the rest of the India saw Orissa was completely different. It was the ultimate pilgrimage. Puri was the ultimate pilgrimage, and we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great saint, he came and he became a devout who started living in Puri, and then there were many other rulers or soldiers who renunciate and converted into Vaishnavites and lived a life of ascetics and lived in Jagannath Puri. So it had a great influence on everything. And it is also believed that at one point of time, the Jagannath Mandir became, the epicenter, the center of religious, political, social, and cultural activities. And I've always cherished my memories and my trips to Jagannath Puri. In one of those trips, I have, all my inspirations and impressions and, memories always take me to Puri that I have to discuss. One such is that for a performance, we were in Puri, of course, with my Guruji and my co-dancers friends. And one day, Madhuri said that let's go to Jagannath Temple. And usually, Jagannath Temple is always very crowded, and one really struggles to get the glimpse of the Lord. But that time in the afternoon, when we went there, it was not very crowded, and we had a very comfortable darshan. And Didi said, I call my Guruji very fondly Didi. She said that why don't we sing the Jagannath Ashtakam that we have learned? And all of us started the Jagannath Stuti. And I just felt that for a second, everything, because it's a very busy temple, so many things are going around. For a moment, everything has stopped, and the temple, the rock temple is reverberating with our sound, with the Stuti, and I just looked at the divine, and everything was completely, full of that divinity, and everybody felt that air power, you can say, or that feeling, and emotions ran high, and I don't know what was happening, but I think this is because of the inner conditioning that we have all gone through from childhood. We have been seeing the Krishna or the Jagannath or Vishnu idols in our house, in our altars, and then in the dance class when we are dancing, there is an idol of Jagannath because of this association, the cultural association with the dance, and we are somehow kind of conditioned in the culture. So all the time we have known that we are dancing on the hymns, on the stutis, on the mantras, on the scriptural poetry, So that all kind of churning, and that's not deliberate, that all that conditioning and churning make everything very relevant around us. So when you see the Jagannath in front of you, having seen so many times on stage and building this association and taking the blessing, you actually feel it. It's not a question of believing or not believing, but it's just a question of when you involve yourself into it and internalize certain things, that everything seems to become so relevant. And the living example would be to observe Guruji, Guru Kelushan Mahapatra. I was very lucky to have learned my dance from my Guruji, Srimati Marti Mudgal. I really cherish and every moment of being with her and receive her blessings, and through her to know Guruji, because she was the one who sent us to Sangeet Shyamla, where Guruji used to take annual workshops in Delhi. And when the workshop was culminating into a performance, very small performance and very late at night, I remember Guruji was, doing my things like in 8:30 and 9 o'clock, and the performance starts around 10:30 with, I think, very few people in the veranda in Vasant Vihar, Delhi. And I saw Guruji was, at that time I was very young, and what I noticed is Guruji was decorating Jagannath with all the detailing right from the beginning to the end, to put the small pieces and the big pieces and this and that. And at that time I didn't think of anything, but I thought just because one has to do like this to start a program. And several years later, when I had to do a performance with my Guruji, Maji Didi, and with Guru Kelushan Mahapatra in Brazil, again he was decorating the Jagannath with the same concentration, with the same effort, with all his energy, with all the focus. And at the end, I thought that who is going to watch what Guruji is doing at night, 11 o'clock, Sangeet Shyamla veranda. There's a small performance, only 4 people have come. And in Brazil, Latin America, South American people, they don't give a damn about how Guruji is decorating and he's at the one corner. But I think that was the bhava he had. And that was the detailing. I think never skip the detailing, and no matter who notices or not. And this is again our imbibe from my Guruji and from Guruji Guru Kelushan Mahapatra. So that was a very big lesson, inspiration, learning. So yes, in that context, when one goes so deep into it, everything starts looking so relevant. And from another philosophical point, I always wonder when I look at the Jagannath temple with these dancing sculptures, with this structure so majestic, and then the Jagannath inside, it gives so much of a strong essence and a value to one's existence, whoever is connected with it. So when one looks at the structure from outside, the temple is standing very majestically, a big structure with beautiful sculptures. But what struck to one's mind when you just look at the structure, it's standing so tall, strong, the body is so strong, and it is speaking to the sky. So just think of your own body as that structure with comparing with that the structure of Jagannath temple, and you're making a relationship because it's so majestic, and you are building a relationship, and you're so proud of that association. On the second level, so first is the body. Second is, we all love strong body and strong, bases and big things. The second is the sculptures. When you see the dancing, the sculptures adorning the temple walls, and you think, oh wow, this is so beautiful, this is so sensual, this is so erotic, this is so full of lavanya. I need to do like this, I need to look like this. If I do this more beautiful, I have to look. This is more like looking. And our eyes are so pleasure-centric. One looks for a structure, big bowl. One looks for, the beauty, the form, technique. But when you see the third aspect, when you enter the Garbhagriha, the sanctum sanctorum, and you see Lord Jagannath, for a layman, you don't see a very pretty face. And there, everything seems to be blurring out, the technique and the structure. What you see is the divine essence of the God. So here, and that only comes when you internalize. If you ask any layman who has never seen the idol of Jagannath and he has no such earlier connections, and you just show it once and say, oh, ye kya hai? What is this? What kind of a, is it a god? What is no limbs and nothing? The formlessness and the dark face. And that happens when somebody in deep meditation or internalization closes his eyes, you see that darkness. And from that darkness, you go to a spectrum of light. In that darkness are hidden the treasures of light. And that darkness is the Jagannath, the dark one. And with the closed eyes, you also see the formlessness, the expanse. You want to see that formlessness because then only you can enter that zone of trance, the beauty, the inner bliss, the complete realization. And that is the philosophy of Jagannath, when the structure and the beauty, the technique, everything blurs out. What remains is the essence. So I have always made it a point, whenever I visit Jagannath temple, I dance a bit at the entry of the sanctorum. There's a security problem, but whenever I get a little, a point in the side, just do a namaskar or just an arsa, and it gives me immense fulfillment. So another very important development was the writings of the Geet Govinda poems, which almost go parallel with the construction of the Jagannath temple. And these rich devotional songs became so popular all over India that the Bhakti movement became almost profound, and it became almost synonymous with it. And these songs are so special, and they became the part of many tangible and intangible forms of art, and very honorably everybody wanted this to be a part of their art, be it on textile and terracotta or on palm leaves, manuscripts, on stones. So it renewed a sense of bhakti cult in the followers. So Geet Govinda was the development which happened parallelly with Geet Govinda was enormous, and it remained inseparable from music and dance. And yes, the Devdasis were known to enact the dances and the songs in the temples as their ritual activities. So this was about the Devdasis. I think yes, so much has been told, but there were more to tell, that we have a time limit to follow. So all these temples from 7th century to 12th century are giving us an evidence of the inner understanding of dance. So the sculptor who was putting dance, who was observing the dance and putting translating into its sculptural art, was not only just taking a frozen thing and putting on the stonework, but he had a deep understanding of the art of the dance, and he tried to capture or arrest that very moment of the dynamic movement. Such was his understanding, and that side came out so beautifully. And then we had the handwritten manuscripts and the palm leaf manuscripts with pictorial images mention dance and its grammar. There were many books written on dance, the Silpa Prakasa, the Silpa Sarani, and for dance reference, we always refer to Abhinay Darpan, which gives a very long list of the Hasta Mudras, the face, the limbs, the Karanas, and everything. And then, of course, the Natya Shastra, parts of Sangeet Ratnakar as well. And of course, Odissa's own manual, which is Abhiday Chandrika. Now, a little bit about the medieval poets. Apart from Geet Govinda that Jayadev has given, and which has always remained inseparable from a traditional Odissi repertoire, the medieval poets of Orissa created beautiful poetry that were so melodic, playful, lively, and full of devotion. And what I've found, it's my very personal opinion, on a personal level, I've always found that Geet Govind deals with the philosophical aspects and more on the relationship things of Radha and Krishna. And there is a night Abhed, and that's a more control and restraint and needed to be, delivered in a particular way. Here, the medieval poets' rachanas, the creations are light-hearted, sometimes even deep, and treated Krishna as boy next door. Even if he's godly, even if he has taken the mountain or killed the serpent Kalia, there is always a flavor of boy next door charm in his. And the Radha and the milkmaid is always, kind of teasing and playing. And so here the emotions are a little playful, light, and beautiful, and we treat them differently. And here it's kind of restrained. And it's a very personal view, and one may disagree with it. And there is another distinctive feature of Odissi music. A little bit about the music is that it deals with the two kinds of music, that the North Indian Hindustani classical and the South Indian Carnatic vocal. I think Odisha, because shares its borders with Andhra, so there's a lot of influences from that part, and also majorly because all the gurus, the earliest gurus and the composers were masters of music, and their training was based on either on the Hindustani classical or the Carnatic classical. And by then, Odissi music had not, I think, really came to the surface or on the forefront. But a lot of research is going on, and the musicologists and scholars have come up with the discovery of new ragas, which are implemented into new compositions. And the beautiful creations that we have seen and worked on are of Bandamali Das, Gopal Krishna Patnaik, Upendra Bhanjo, and Kavi Surya Baladeva Ratha, and few others. So now I will show you a little bit about the technique. So Odissi technique revolves around two very important body positions. One is the choka, which is a squarish position, and you are very grounded with your pelvis and core very strong, and you're almost going very deep on the ground. And hands are held high and build a squarish position. So with this position, one represents the male deity of the universe, or one is reminded of the Jagannath, Lord Jagannath. And within this shows also the complete equilibrium of the body, and there's a center that goes from here. And when the unique feature of the dance is when you use the torso. So when you do the torso, ta, 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 ta. Isolated movement, a very unique movement from this part, and where one has to be very careful because, and one needs a lot of training. What happens in the format is at the beginning, when one comes for training, there's a lot of movement from the shoulders or from the hips. So this torso only, movement from this part and gives fluidity to the style. And the counter position is Tribhanga, where the feet is placed in Prasyapada, and there is a cut, the bend from the knee, from the waist, and from the neck. And this is the Tribhanga, and one finds the variations of it in more ornamented forms in the temples, like in the Dadbani form or Alasa, Abhimana, these kinds of poses. And again, the torso moves in the same way along the central axis. 1, 2, dha, ta, se, ta, tat, de, tat, de. So the choke and the Tribhanga. And we have numerous numbers of foot positions, or the pada bhedas, and the bhangimas, the kind, the way the body takes a certain position in dance, the bhangimas in Odissi. So the samabhanga, abhanga, Tribhanga, and with more bend can be the Atibhanga. So these are the bhangas. Let me show you now a bit of the repertoire. The repertoire, the mode of presentation always starts with the prayer, a Mangala Charan, where there are, which is a formal formal way of beginning the dance, and there are components like coming to the stage and dropping of flowers and do Bhumi Pranam. All the formalities pertaining to the conventions of the stage are done, and then one does a prayer and there's a Sabha Pranam and an exit. So in the beginning, I did the Jagannath Stuti as my Mangala Charan. It was not, these components, many of the components were not added. So now I will show you Batu, the second, which comes in the line of the presentation, which is created or done in praise of Batuka Bhairava, or an aspect of Shiva, purest form of Shiva. And again, the basic elementary stances of Odissi are used, the chok and the tribang, and then it goes on to become more ornamental. And the first part of the dance shows holding of the various instruments, like the musical instruments like the veena or the venu, the drum, the mardala, flute, and most of the sculptures have been inspired from the temple sculptures, and importantly from Konark. Konark is another beautiful marvel in terms of art and architecture, and there was also a special Nata Mandir, a special hall for dance, and every year this beautiful important festival of dance happens in Konark. So let's see Batu, where it's again absent from any poem or any song, and this is a pure dance piece, and one syllabic line is repeated. Let's see a bit of a small part of Batu. while doing Batu, I remember that it's worthy to mention that after the Gotipur, tradition started to degenerate because I think after 12th century AD, there was the Afghans and the Muslims started coming and attacking Orissa, and it was under constant attack from the Mughals. And the culture of dance and music started to shrink, and the Devdasis were no longer to be supported. And this the whole the dance and music scene was facing a degeneration or suffered a setback. And in the 14th century, there was a development regarding this. A group of boys known as the Gotipurs were promoted by the king of Khurda. And Gotipur are the dancers who are very small boys, pre-puberty boys who dressed as women and dance in the Vaishnavite themes. And they were first conceived as to be the part of the military, but then the onlookers took great pleasure in watching them. So they were included in the tradition of dancing for the god, not especially for the god, but dancing on the Vaishnava themes, also for the entertainments of the local, for the public. So while doing Batu, I remembered that I missed this point, and they were doing the Bandhanetta and all such kinds of acrobatics, dancing and dancing that involves a lot of strength and circus kind of a jumps, elevations. So they learned from the local gymnasiums and very instrumental in keeping the tradition alive for a long time. It's also known that in 17th century, King Ramachandra Dev, I don't know the dynasty, but this king made a lot of efforts to keep the tradition of Gotipur dancing alive, to restore the essence of Odissi. And in 18th century, the British took over and dancing was completely banned in Orissa. So whatever has been retained post-independence in the revival phase by the reformists was only through the fragments, through the different bits, pieces found from the temple sculptures, from the pictorial images, from these, the manuscripts and the tradition of Devdasis, Gotipurs, the elements of from the Bandha Nritya, the Chau traditions, the martial arts, everything formed the base for Odissi to find its the format of neoclassical way that we have got in today's time. So moving on to the next piece is the Pallavi, which comes in the in the repertory in the third line. It's like a blooming. Pallavi is a blooming, and the music is as important as the dance, and both of them go together on a journey and start in a simple slow tempo to little complex in the middle, and then making a climax at the end. And this is always set to a particular rag and a tal. This is one of the most lyrical pieces in Odissi, and one can see the technique, how one movement merges to another movement. And also, again, it's a pure dance Shuddha piece, which is again has no text or poetry, to enjoy the rhythm, the music, the movement, and the intricate patterns that are made by the rhythmic syllables. I will be dancing Kaveri Pallavi, choreographed by Sri Mahapatra, just a bit of it. So this was Pallavi, and after that, moving on to something which is the soul of all classical dance, and it is the Abhinaya. And I will present Jayadeva's Ashtapadi. Vasante Vasanti Kusuma Sukumarai Ave Ave. In the spring season, the delicate tender limbed Radha, just as the Vasanti flower, wandering in the forest, looking for Krishna. One has seeks a lot, the Lord, in many ways. This rapid fire from the mother hurts and burns her, and it's hard to take. She laments, can't even walk. At this time, very sweetly, the Sakhi says, O Radha, Lalita Lavanga Lata Pari Shilana Kumala Malaya Samira. The tender, the soft flows, the tender vines of flow are intervened in form of creepers, and the soft scented breeze is blowing from the Malaya mountains. The swarms of bees are buzzing, and the cuckoos are singing over the thicket. At this time, Hari roams here in the beautiful Vasanti season. Ashtapadi Vasante Vasanti.
Kusuma, Sukuma.
the last item to close the Odissi recital, traditional recital is always moksha, or the dance of liberation. I'll not be dancing that. Odissi, from its traditional format to the contemporary times, had made a lot of developments and have seen coming out, in colors and the different kinds of experimentations and coming up with contemporary themes. One see different aspects of music, and movement vocabulary, of course, in the concept, everything added it to flourish in the contemporary times and being relevant to it. Dance heals, dance connects, and dance bridges. I thank Danceathon, all the audience side, for this beautiful experience. Thank you.